Americans are expected to wager a record-breaking $1.76 billion on this weekend's Super Bowl. This is according to the American Gaming Association. Sports betting has grown massively in popularity, with more than 3/4 of the country eligible to take part since the Supreme Court legalized it in 2018. About 75% of states, plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, offer some form of sports betting, with Missouri becoming the latest state to establish a legal market in December. Consumers legally wagered more than $157 billion in fiscal year 2025, and states earned more than $3.2 billion from taxing those bets, according to the Tax Foundation. And as states like Illinois, Louisiana, Maryland, and New Jersey increase their taxes on sportsbook operators, that revenue is expected to keep growing. But as the industry has become more widespread, there are growing concerns it could have negative side effects. A new study by researchers at Rice University and the University of Michigan found a link between legal sports betting and violent crime. The authors surveyed crime incident data from states with legal gambling from 2017 to 2021 and discovered that crime increased 30 to 70% from the start of a game in any of the major leagues all the way through 4 hours after it ended. The biggest spikes were linked to home games or unexpected outcomes like underdogs winning. The types of crimes that rose during games included assault, larceny, and vehicle theft. Assaults overall grew 60 to 90% during and after games in states with legal sports betting, and larceny rose between 30 to 100%. For more, let's bring in the co-author of that study, Hua Gong. He's an assistant professor of sport analytics at Rice University. So, Hua, you've clearly noticed a correlation. Is there a cause and effect between sports betting and violent and impulsive behavior?
Why people exhibit those kind of very impulsive and aggressive behaviors associated with sports betting. And we particularly look at two driving factors that we think are very important in this case. One is definitely about the financial related. I think when people bet on sports and when they lose a lot of monies, that can trigger a lot of impulsive, aggressive behaviors. That finding, I don't think it's very surprising. I think it's something that a lot of people have known about. The other factor we look at is the stress associated with sports betting. So we particularly look at when the bettors experience a very stressful games, when the game outcomes are very close, the two teams are competing with each other closely in the competition. And from the bettors' perspectives, they will experience a very, very stressful games because they don't know whether they're going to lose a lot of monies or win a lot of monies until the end of the games. So we also find that those kind of stressful games is also causing a lot of impulsive and aggressive behavior following the end of the games.
Did anything surprise you about the results?
Not really. One of the findings from our study is kind of surprising is that we also look at states are very close to each other, and one state has legalized sports betting, and other one has not legalized sports betting. And what we find is that people living in the states that have not legalized sports betting, the sports bettors is also going to exhibit some kind of very impulsive and aggressive behavior following the games. And what we suspect is that those people living in the states that have not legalized sports betting, they probably going to travel to the neighboring states that have legalized sports betting and make their bets, and they can potentially return those disturbances back to their home and causing more crimes after games, even though they're living in the states that have not legalized sports betting. So I think this is a very important finding, and it's a little bit surprising to me. And I think has very strong implication for the Super Bowl because California has not legalized sports betting yet, but there's a lot of prediction markets that is allowing people to bet on sports, even though you're not living in the states that legalize sports betting. So from that perspective, I think that what we're suggesting in this paper is that if you allow people or enable people to bet on sports, potentially there is going to be more impulsive behavior, ultimately more crime associated with sports betting among those bettors.
Well, Hua Gong, thank you for coming on to talk about your research.